Good evening. I'm Wayne Fariss. Here in South Florida, we divide our seasons into 4 parts: tourist, summer, football, and hurricane. It's with the latter that for the present we're most concerned. Hurricane Carla, the century's biggest storm, flirted with us on the anniversary of another powerful hurricane. Do you remember Donna? This is Hurricane.
This is Jack Leverins. I remember Donna. I saw her first before she hit Miami from the center of her eye. I got the inside story, and it was an eerie one, witnessing nature's power of destruction from the safety of an airplane. It's like being removed from reality. I was one of 2 WCKT's men to fly into Donna's eye, the only Miami station newsmen to do so. In all, I made 7 passes through the eyes at levels of 14 to 18,000 feet aboard a Miami-based Weather Bureau flying laboratory. Gone are the days of flying into hurricanes at 300 feet. It's not only too dangerous, but unnecessary from the standpoint of information. On this flight, we swung into Donna's north side with the winds of 133 miles an hour. But the flight was not as rough or dramatic as you might expect. The plane was not tossed about like a toy, nor was the crew fearfully reading insurance policies. They were too busy checking special electronic equipment that probes the hurricane's life-giving components. With such information, meteorologists mathematically can recreate a hurricane. Our flying research laboratory would melt. Only in the eye could we see the gigantic ocean of white foam below. If nothing else, I gained a healthy respect for the plane's crews and researchers who fly the storm's Milky Way. This is Jack Leverins, WCKT News.
Hurricane Donna was the first major storm to affect Florida since the Miami storm of October 1950. In 10 years, a new and large group of the uninitiated either grew up or moved into Florida. They were to learn about hurricanes the hard way. Donna, in her stormy spawning stage, was detected off Dakar. As a full-grown hurricane, she whirled 5,000 miles before blowing herself out over the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Donna spread her ruin and wreckage along a path from Puerto Rico through the Florida Keys, and she actually passed 70 miles north of San Juan into the Florida Straits. She brushed the north coast of Cuba before beginning a slow curve that slapped at Key West, then moved up the Keys, passing between Tavernier and Marathon. Her eye passing north of Marathon about 2 a.m. September 10th. Donna pushed a 13-foot storm tide across the overseas highway. She ravaged citrus groves and farmlands, chewed up houses and fishing boats. Donna sustained winds of 140 miles an hour, with gusts clocked at 180 to 200 miles an hour in some parts of the Keys. But while the U.S. Weather Bureau branded Donna one of the most vicious hurricanes ever to hit the U.S. mainland, she did not repeat the fearsome toll taken in 1928 and again in 1935. The Keys in South Florida suffered more than 2,200 fatalities in both storm years. The big question a year ago was whether ignorance and skepticism on the part of the state's newcomers make them vulnerable to a dangerous hurricane in spite of modern storm warning facilities. The answer? Only 13 Floridians were claimed by Donna's winds, but thousands were uprooted.
This is Dave Choate in the Keys, and I'll always remember Donna and the destruction she left behind. She bore into the Keys that fitful night of September 9th with all the wrath and fury that she could muster. At one point in Marathon, her winds were unofficially recorded at 180 miles an hour. She battered everything she touched, and she seemed to touch everything. Donna threw a KO punch, and the lights went out. Communication between the Keys and the rest of the world was gone. So were the bridges between Marathon and Key Largo. The fresh water supply was gone, but so eventually was Donna. And then came the massive job of cleaning up. As dawn broke, those who had stayed through the ordeal emerged from their shelters. Among them were WCKT newsmen Charlie Mitchell and Lloyd Russell. They were the first to get films out of the Keys showing the destruction. Mitchell was the first to phone Miami with an eyewitness report of the damage. But the phone reports the reams of news copy written on Donna, and the thousands of feet of news film shot on her somehow couldn't capture the true and utter destruction that was Donna. The magnitude of it was too great for even the camera. I flew into the area the day following Donna's departure and saw houses right in the middle of the overseas highway, sharing the unfamiliar surroundings with large fishing boats. Power and telephone lines looked like so many strands of spaghetti. Trailers were smashed, some lost, not even found to this day. But despite vast damage, only a handful died, and only one thing saved the rest: advanced warning and preparation. But many who stayed for Donna will not stay for the next one. This is Dave Choate, WCKT News, The Keys.
Leaving the Keys, Donna churned through the swamplands to Everglades City near the Gulf of Mexico. She then moved over water before crashing into the coastline again south of Naples on a course that took her into Fort Myers. Both Naples and Fort Myers suffered extensive storm tide damage. The water levels at Flamingo and Everglades were recorded at 12 feet above mean sea level. But as Hurricane Donna spun toward the west coast, she was leaving behind permanent damage to Everglades wildlife. At Duck Rock, 15 miles outside of Everglades City, Donna destroyed 90% of the trees that made up one of the largest ibis rookeries in the Western Hemisphere. The storm also killed 40% of the great white herons. Most of Donna's destruction in the glades was in the swamps, where high winds whipped up water and mud, releasing sulfurous gases which were trapped in the heavy foliage. In some areas, every living tree and blade of grass was gassed to death.
The storm's next target was Fort Myers. This is Joe Browder. I remember Donna, and so do the people of this West Coast community. Immediately following the storm, a WCKT chartered plane was dispatched to the Fort Myers-Naples area to join Channel 7 correspondents who covered Donna as she churned through West Florida. These films were seen on NBC in a special report from WCKT's studios the same day they were recorded. Fort Myers housing developments were flattened. Debris was strewn in all directions. Fort Myers, during the height of the storm, clocked wind gusts at 121 miles an hour. At Naples, the weather station was abandoned as 4 feet of water swept in. Peak gusts in Naples reached 150 miles an hour, and winds teemed with high water to play havoc with housing. Destruction in this area was estimated at several $1 million. Scores were injured. There were several deaths. The Fort Myers airport looked like it had been bombed. Lee County's Civil Defense Director confesses many mistakes were made, but he says next time, hurricane or air raid, the Fort Myers-Naples area will be prepared. This is Joe Browder, WCKT News, Fort Myers.
Donna, professor without portfolio, went on teaching Florida the elementary lesson: build not thy house on sand and cheat not on the construction. In over 75% of the state, the home buyer is at the mercy of the builder. Building codes as protection are as effective as tissue paper raincoats. Laws are being written in some areas to strengthen existing building codes, and Dade is the model. Most attention is being paid to roofing, improved tie-downs, and more nails. But most interesting was the inescapable observation that only those who lost their roofs to Donna were able to collect 100% insurance. The Florida Association of Architects suggests that beachfront property be disposable, designed to be lost in a major blow, but easily reconstructed. Miami architect Ed Grafton points out that this may well apply even to homes built under the Dade Code.
Although the Dade County Building Code is one of the best building codes in the United States, it does not provide the ultimate in design criteria for protection against hurricanes, nor does it provide the supervision which is necessary to get buildings designed.